morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and all the viewers of the Zexon Amidu, that is YouTube Sports TV. Our fans that is in the entire world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from in the different parts of the world. This time, I'll be wrapping up that is game 36 of the Premier League series, where that is the eventual winner of the Premier League title was decided, that is Liverpool Football Club. However, we still have 2 games remaining, and the battle that is for Champions League for positions is still going ahead, with teams like Manchester City, Chelsea Football Club, teams like Arsenal Football Club, Newcastle and Aston Villa are still in contention, that is for the Champions League slots. Reason being that they are only separated by only 5 points between that is the 2nd position and even that is the 6th position. Relegated teams, the likes of Southampton, the likes of Ipswich Town and Leicester, we are decided earlier on, and teams that are surviving are still on. But this time I'll be bypassing through some of the key results that transpired that was in game 36. And even in the Spanish La Liga, we had that is the elclassico between Real Madrid Football Club and even Barcelona Football Club, which looked as the decider that is for the Spanish La Liga, and it ended up by that is Barcelona, or that is the Spanish Giants Barcelona, beating Real Madrid for the 4th consecutive time that is in a season, 4-3. A hat-trick from Kylian Mbappe wasn't enough, as Rafinha had a double, and even the likes of Lamine Yamal and even Garcia Eric also had scored to make sure that Barcelona have sealed this one, with only still like 3 games remaining. They just need 3 points in their next 3 games to wrap up that is the Spanish La Liga. Our fans, back to the Premier League. The games started as early as Saturday, and our first game, remember earlier on, we started as early as Saturday, and that was Fulham Football Club up against that is Everton Football Club. All of these 2 teams are safe. That is they are all safe. That is in the Premier League. However, the fight for positions and even for more money or dividends and revenue still continues. We thought that maybe Fulham could go ahead and make a statement. However, the resilient side of Everton under the stewardship of David Moyes has tried to showcase as a fighting character. As he stated earlier on, that next season they don't want only to stay, that is in the Premier League, but they want to fight, that is for European positions. That game ended, that was 3-1 in favor of Everton, when Everton fought back after a 1-0 lead by Fulham, but goals from Beto, goals from Muniz made sure that Everton bounced back to winning ways to make sure that they wrap up that is the 3 points, and with so doing they moved currently that is 13th position. We had a game of Ipswich up against Brentford, as Brentford are still fighting that is for European positions. Remember, in the Premier League we have European positions up to number 7, where we have the likes of Nottingham Forest sitting there. So Brentford are still that is in the fight with only 2 games remaining. Should they win their next 2 games, and that is Nottingham Forest, at least they will have a hope of qualifying, that is the UEFA Conference League, where Chelsea is currently on the final. Ipswich was already relegated, so it couldn't put that is the resiliency up against the resurgent team that is Brentford. On Saturday still, we had the game of Southampton up against Manchester City, where this game by surprise went, that was 0-0 in favor of either side. Despite of Southampton being relegated, they still put a steep resilience up against Manchester City, where we saw some extraordinary performances from the goalkeeper, that is Ramsdale, showcasing his class despite the team being relegated, that is to the championship. Manchester City missed a chance, that is to set up, that was 2nd position by that time, where they had a couple of chances from the likes of Omar Mamosh, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, the likes of Gundogan, the likes of Kovacic, the likes of Jeremy Doku. All had the chances, but the clinical defense of Southampton denied them that is chances. Wolverhampton was playing up against Brighton and Hove, and this time still Brighton and Hove managed to win this one, despite the fact that Wolverhampton was one of the most uniform team that is the previous couple of weeks. This time Southampton, under the stewardship of that is Welbeck, managed to make sure that they collect all the 3 points, as they still have hopes of qualifying that is for European football. The last game on Saturday was Bournemouth up against Aston Villa, and this game as Aston Villa are still eager, that is for European football or Champions League positions, and they managed to beat, that is a resilient, that is Bournemouth, 1-0 that was scored by the big man himself, an English international, that is Oli Watkins, within the halftime, despite Kepa Arrizabalaga being very resilient, that is in the goal, and even Bournemouth asking so many questions. The likes of that is Evan Nelson were very instrumental, the likes of Semenyo were very instrumental. However, the disciplined defense led by Emiliano Martinez, that is the goalkeeper of Aston Villa, meant that Aston Villa still kept a chance or their toe on the pedal to search for Champions League position for a second season in a row. Besides that was Saturday. However, also on Sunday we had, that is the big games. Chelsea opened up the day up against Newcastle, when all teams were fighting, that is for Champions League positions. These two teams came into this game when they were all level, that is on points with the same goal difference, but it meant that Newcastle had to dig deep and even Chelsea had to dig deep. However, the referee spoiled this game when he gave, that is the red card to Nicholas Jackson over an attempt, that is on the Newcastle defender, and Newcastle had taken the early lead through. Newcastle had taken the early lead earlier on with a quick goal. However, Chelsea was the better side. Despite of them getting a red card, they had majority of the ball positions, asking Newcastle so many questions. However, Newcastle looked very resilient in the defense, and they did not give Chelsea, that is the chance. Newcastle was asking Chelsea so many Newcastle so many questions. However, Newcastle scored where it mattered most, and it killed off the game in the dying minutes when, that is Brazilian superstar Bruno Guimarães scored a screamer to make it 2-0. We had another game, that was Manchester United up against West Ham, and this game was so easy, that is for West Ham. When West Ham grabbed, that was the 2-0 lead over Manchester United. Goals coming in from Czech superstar, that is Thomas Soucek, scoring in the halftime. Manchester United were not clinical enough, denying, and in the defense they were loose up. A reason being that West Ham scored where it mattered most, and it collected, that is the 3 points, making sure that at least they improved, or they leapfrogged, that is Manchester United and even Tottenham, to go ahead of them. Currently, Manchester United are in 16th position, and Nottingham Forest are in, and Tottenham are in 17th position, safe of relegation. However, this is their worst performances, that is for Manchester United and West Ham ever since the start of the Premier League way back in 1992-1993. And with so doing, West Ham, with that win of Graham Potter at Old Trafford, meant that they moved now, that is to 15th position. The other game was Nottingham Forest up against Leicester, where we had so much controversy, where even the owner stepped in the pitch, that is Malankanis, that is the owner of Nottingham Forest, blaming, that is the coach, that is Nuno Espirito, over the failure win up against, that is a relegated team, that is Leicester. In this game, by the 81st minute, Nottingham Forest were leading 2-1, which had opened up their chances of gaining back, that is to Champions League positions. However, a late equalizer from Leicester made sure that this team is still struggling. Okay, it has the times to participate, that is in UEFA conference positions, but their main focus is, that is the Champions League, and with so doing, it meant that they still have hard work to do if they are to fight either for Europa, Champions League positions, or UEFA conference. Another game was Crystal Palace up against, that is Tottenham Hotspur, which is one of the biggest London derbies, and Crystal Palace easily went off this one by beating Tottenham Hotspurs 2-0 at their home stadium, with a brace coming from English sensation, that is Eberechi Eze, meaning that their form, that is Crystal Palace, continues. Even they are in the finals of the FA Cup that will be played, that is on the 17th of this month. The last game for the day was the big one between the two league leaders, that is Liverpool Football Club, who are currently on 83 points, alongside, that is Arsenal Football Club, who are in second position with, that is 68 points. It meant that this was a payback. That is, remember earlier on in the first fixture, the game ended, that was 2-2 at the Arsenal Stadium or the Emirates Stadium, and still the same replication happened at the home of Liverpool, ending that was 2-2. Still, in favor of either sides. Coming into this game, Liverpool wanted to seal off the trophy, that is in style, and even to end Arsenal's time without beating Arsenal, mostly in the Premier League. Now we have gone, that is in the third season running, without Liverpool beating, that is Arsenal. Liverpool took the early lead through that is Ruben Diaz, and even another goal coming in, making it 2-0. However, Arsenal had to fight back, that is in the second half. Goals coming in from the likes of that is Merino scoring the equalizer, making it that is 2-2, despite of him being chased off the pitch. However, Arsenal only needs that 1 point, that is in the next fixture when they play Newcastle, to seal that is Champions League positions. Whatever could happen, that is in the next fixtures. However, the fans of football, it is one of the biggest games that we witnessed, that is yesterday. The last game I will be talking about, that is the El Clasico, where Barcelona are still battling with Real Madrid, that is for the Spanish big trophy, that is the Spanish La Liga. However, Barcelona winning yesterday 4-3 meant that they are in contention of this trophy, meaning that they will go with a treble, that is this season, having won the Spanish Super Cup, having won the Copa del Rey, and currently they are 7 points ahead of that is Real Madrid, with only that is 3 games remaining. Should they collect 3 points, they will be declared as the winners of that is the Spanish La Liga for the 2024-2025 season, which they last won, that was in the 2022-2023 season, under the stewardship of Xavi Hernandez, that is their former legend and the midfield general. So as it went, that is the weekend wrap up. In Bundesliga, still Bayer Leverkusen was beaten by Borussia Dortmund. Bayern Munich managed to win and they sealed out, that is the championship. Biggest headline, Harry Kane won his first trophy, that is after a couple of years without winning, that is a trophy in his career. As always, I'm Isaacson, the sports